of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, is participating in our today's meeting. Let's welcome Mrs. President, Madam President. Dear Parliament members, dear guests of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, participating in this meeting are the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Denis Shmyhal, and the members of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. Let's welcome the government of Ukraine. Dear Parliament members of Ukraine, dear guests of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, the seat for the diplomats present with us is Mati Marsikas, the EU ambassador to Ukraine, ambassadors of the EU states, and the ambassador of the Austrian Republic. Please welcome the diplomats. Following our good traditions, we shall start our work with singing the national anthem of Ukraine. Dear Parliament members, dear guests of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, this is the fifth month of the aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine, and in response to granting Ukraine the EU candidate member states, the enemy has intensified the shelling of the civilians, and the most terrible thing is that the children are dying. Barbarian shelling of Kremenchuk, Lysychansk, Dnipro, Mykolaiv, and other cities. This confirms the fact that Russia is not to be placed among the civilized world, and as a result of the missile shelling today, according to the latest information, 18 our citizens and 31 died and 31 are wounded. Ukrainian people are invincible. I'm asking you to stand in the minute of silence to pay tribute to Ukrainian citizens who died as a result of aggression and shelling, and to pay tribute to the memory of Ukrainian defenders. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Dear members of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, dear guests of the Parliament, it gives me a very great pleasure to give the floor to the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Alexandrovich Zelensky. Thank you very much, dear Chairman of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, dear Prime Minister of Ukraine, dear Parliament members of Ukraine, dear all guests present in this session room. The new history of Ukraine and the EU has started. We are not close. We are together now. We are close neighbors. We are not the close neighbors, but we are one European families with shared values and shared faith. These are not the words. These are not declaration. This is not the expectation or political hope. This is already legally fixed status. Ukraine has received the status of the candidate states to EU membership. 115 days lasted from giving the application and response of the EU. This is the record short time. We were very together in order to act together, in order to defend ourselves. And we were defending together, working together to defend our land. We were not stopping for any second before the EU Council has passed the positive decision. And we will not stop for a second before we receive our victory, the victory of Ukraine. We are aware that the EU integration of Ukraine, this will give generations of Ukraine the better life based on the best human values. This is the honor. This is the responsibility for all of us to participate in the implementation of European aspirations of our state. What is 115 days? A lot of things were taking place in those days. Hundreds of negotiations, meetings, concerts, different rallies to support Ukraine and our candidate status. Hundreds of approved decisions, hundreds of updated procedures, and thousands of perfectly filled out questionnaire which we have received from the EU Commission. All this was not easy, but we have done it, and congratulations, we did it. We have created an extremely solid foundation which will not be ruined by anybody, and which will be used as the foundation for our European future. Our European future is made transformed into our current days. Ukraine is fighting for the future in order to live in the free European family. Ukrainians have the weapons in their hands in order to protect their independence and safety and security of each our person, in order for Ukrainian mornings to start not so tragically as started today's morning with the missiles attack on Odessa and Odessa region. Today's morning started with a lot of victims. We want the mornings of Ukraine to become as peaceful as the mornings of each European capital in the 21st century. I want very much that everybody who is taking their official positions in Ukraine now would work for European choice of Ukraine as the fight for our state. All of us, we need to prepare our state for the beginning of negotiation of EU membership as intensely as we were preparing the decisions on the status of candidate. Today, in this session, the flag of EU will be brought into this room, into this session room of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. And this must not be just merely a beautiful symbol or gesture. This must be the symbol of our task, the task for all of us, for all branches of power in Ukraine, for us to avoid any pauses or any delays in our work, for each decision which is required for Ukraine, for EU path of Ukraine to be passed in time. And these must be the decisions which will be positively felt by Ukrainian society, Ukrainian families, Ukrainian people. EU membership is not geopolitics or implementation of some political aspirations. These are specific things, specific advantages which are bringing benefits to the life of each person in Ukraine, each company in Ukraine, each state institution in Ukraine. Recently, we have introduced visa-free transportation, the aerial visa-free transportation. We have received maximum access to European market without quotas or customs. We joined the European energy grid. Now we can export electricity to the EU member states. This is the revolutionary decision for our economy and our state. And we are waiting for customs visa-free regime and digital visa-free regime for Ukraine to join the program Digital Europe. We need to accelerate the industrial visa-free regime. And of course, we need to make decision about canceling the roaming fee for Ukraine between Ukraine and the EU states on permanent basis. European paths, these are the decisions which are enhancing our state and each of you, because all these decisions create the opportunities for all Europe to implementation of Ukrainian potential makes Europe stronger together with Ukraine. A lot of decisions will depend on the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, on each parliament member of Ukraine, on how well you, the parliament members, are ready to work on these decisions, and how ready are you to coordinate your work with the government of Ukraine, with our diplomats. The association agreement between Ukraine and EU has been implemented by 63%, 37%. These are the tasks for all of us, for all our state. But you, dear parliament members, you need to develop and defend and pass dozens of very important draft laws and laws. This will not be easy, but there is no alternative to that. And even if you know that there will be not some of your decisions will not be applauded, but this decision is required and needed in order to go through this difficult and important path of Ukraine, you must pass such decisions. Today, we are signing joint statement, which is a signal of unity of all branches of power and the evidence of our determination to achieve the strategic goal of Ukraine, which is the full membership in the European Union. Signing of this statement has the same importance as the importance of signing this application for joining to EU on the 5th day of the war. It took us 115 days to receive the status of candidate state to the EU membership. Our path to the full membership should not be lasting for dozens of years. We must go through this path as quickly as possible, and it depends on us how quickly we shall move. We must do our work perfect in order to enable our friends in the EU in the same very fast and consolidated fashion and manner to approve yet another historic decision. We shall sign. And now I would like to ask the chairman of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine and the dear Prime Minister of Ukraine, and now please applaud.
Добре, дякую. Шановні присутні, сьогодні
Dear all, I want to thank all European people, each European leader who supported the candidacy of our state to the EU membership. I want to thank them very much indeed.
Стільки переговорів.
A lot of negotiations during such a short time frame. This is the record thing, but all these meetings and negotiations were very topical and very well thought through. Sometimes they were challenging. I want to thank all of you, thank all those present in this session, all members of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. Thank you very much. I want to thank each person, and each person knows that it was a difficult and challenging work which resulted in success. And a great personal contribution was made by the great friends of Ukraine who are and who will continue to be our friends. This is the President of the EU Council, Charles Michel, and the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. And today I have the honor to give the floor to make the presentation and speech in the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, Mrs. Ursula. Mrs. Ursula, I want to thank you once again for your leadership in the building of this powerful historical relationship between Ukraine and Europe. And this relationship is a new history for Ukraine, a new European history, joint European history and Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine. And the floor is given to Mrs. Ursula von der Leyen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, President Zelensky, dear Volodymyr, Chairman Stefanchuk, Prime Minister Shmyhal, dear Denis, members of the government and honorable members of the Rada. Дуже дякую. Thank you so much for inviting me to address this special session. Just days ago, on Constitution Day, President Zelensky, you said that your victory is not far off. And of course, Putin's army is still killing your brothers and sisters. They continue occupying your land, stealing your grain, and bombing your cities. You are fighting back bravely. And Europe will stand up with Ukraine as long as it takes. We will not rest until you prevail. Your brave soldiers on the front line are making ultimate sacrifices to defend the soil of Ukraine and its people. And behind the lines, there are countless other Ukrainians working to support this national endeavor. And they all hope for a brighter future for their country. This is a courageous generation on the march towards their vision of a free Ukraine that is part of a democratic Europe. And I have them clearly in my mind as I speak to you today. You have kept your state and your democracy up and running against all odds. I saw it with my own eyes after coming to Kyiv twice since the beginning of the war. You have kept the parliament open, even in the darkest days, when bombs fell on Kiev, and you had to build barricades to protect the Rada. Ukraine filed its application for membership in the European Union only days after the Russian invasion, and you managed to provide us with all the necessary information in record time to put forward a strong opinion. We in the European institutions work day and night to support you, but it is your effort that got the work done. You mobilized not only your institutions, but the best energies in your country. You reached out to thousands of experts from civil society and academia to showcase everything Ukraine has achieved since the Revolution of Dignity. And because of this effort, you have gained the endorsement and the respect of all EU member states. This is a significant sign of trust. Ukraine now has a very clear European perspective, and Ukraine is candidate country to join the European Union. Something that seemed almost unimaginable just 5 months ago. So today is first and foremost a moment to celebrate this historic milestone, a victory of determination and resolve, and a victory for the whole movement that started 8 years ago on the Maidan. You have come such a long way since 2014. You have chosen firmly to be a democracy and to live under the rule of law. And this choice Ukraine has already made for itself, for its own sake. Mr. President, you once told me that everything that Ukraine would do for EU membership, it would do anyway. Because that is the modern and prosperous Ukraine you want it to be. And the next steps are within your reach. But they will require hard work, determination, and above all, unity of purpose. Today, the international community is mobilizing to support your efforts to rebuild your beautiful country. Next Monday, together with President Zelensky and Prime Minister Shmyhal, I will participate in the Lugano Conference for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Your European path and the reconstruction of the country will go hand in hand. Ukraine will be in the lead. Massive investments will have to come. But to maximize their impact and to foster business confidence, investments will have to be coupled with a new wave of reforms. And you have determined your reform agenda, and you have already made important progress. Take the fight against corruption. Preventing and combating corruption has been particularly high on your agenda since the Revolution of Dignity. You have created an impressive anti-corruption machine. But now, these institutions need teeth and the right people in senior posts. The new head of the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office and the new director of the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine should be appointed as soon as possible. Or take your plans to reform the Constitutional Court. Legislation is needed for selection procedures for judges, in line with the recommendations of the Venice Commission. Institutions must come to life, so that they can deliver on the aspirations of your people. Or think about the excessive influence of oligarchs on the economy. Today, Ukraine is the only country in Europe's Eastern Partnership, to have adopted a law to break the oligarchs' grip on your economy and political life. And I commend you for that. Now you have to focus on the implementation of this law in a legally sound manner, taking into account the forthcoming opinion of the Venice Commission. A media law should also be adopted, one that aligns Ukraine's legislation with current EU standards and empowers the independent media regulator. In some honourable members, many of the laws and the institutions you need are already in place. Now is the time to translate rules and bodies into positive, enduring change. Of course, reforms always take time. That's how our democracies work. They need constant commitment and dedication. And, for instance, no one expects Ukraine to fill in all posts in your new institutions while so many of your best and brightest are fighting on the front. But Ukraine's democracy must be kept on the right track. And you have already shown that you can pass important laws even as the war still rages on and make every day count. You know the work that lies ahead better than anyone else. The word Rada means council, and council means collective wisdom. I am confident that you will put your collective wisdom at the service of Ukraine when it comes to reform and to the future of your country. So today I come here with a very simple message. There's a long road ahead, but Europe will be at your side every step of the way for as long as it takes, from these dark days of war until the moment you cross the door that leads into our European Union. I believe in Ukraine's European future. And the reason is simple. The reason is the tenacity of the Ukrainian people. Your resolve, your passion for Europe, your desire to live the European dream in your beautiful country. And as President Zelensky said in his first speech in front of this parliament, and I quote, "Europe is not somewhere else. Europe is here, in your mind. And when Europe is in your mind, then Europe will come to your country too." End of quote. It is your country. It is your future. And only you can make it happen. You are the ones who can change this country for good. And this will be your ultimate victory. A free and prosperous and vibrant Ukraine. A sovereign Ukraine that is finally reunited with our European family. Slava Ukraini!
Дякую, пане
Thank you.
президенте.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam President. Dear Parliament members of Ukraine, dear guests of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, we aim the full-fledged membership in the EU. We understand that candidate status does not necessarily mean immediate access. We have a difficult way ahead, but we shall go through it with success. Ukraine is Europe sounded 1,000 times these days, and this makes a lot of sense because right now we are defending not only Ukraine from this enemy, but we are defending the whole Ukraine, the whole Europe. We are defending the right to freedom, the right to sovereignty. The Ukrainian parliament had a dream to receive from the EU the clear legal definition of candidacy. And we dreamt of EU flag to be brought into the meeting session room of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. I am asking the National Guard of Ukraine, please bring in the flag of the European Union into the session auditorium of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Dear members of the Ukrainian parliament, it seems to me the colors are matching and the sense is matching. Dear colleagues, let's thank the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. Let's thank the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. Let's thank the ambassadors of the EU member states for their participation in today's ceremony of bringing in the flag of the EU into the session auditorium of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. Thank you very much for your contribution and your presence. Dear colleagues, we continue our work. We shall start our work with wishing happy birthday to our colleagues, parliament members. The birthday is celebrated by the parliament members from the